I'm delighted to announce that Fran Seaford, the owner of Stampendous, has developed some wonderful tools for us and some beautiful new stamps.
You're going to be able to design your own pop-up cards with a pop-up die set and then make beautiful focals with these Laura Burch stamps and cutting dies, so no fussy cutting.
And they're beautiful. Come play with us. Well, here's everything we're showing, but we're going to start with the pop-up stages.
With the pop-up stages die set. Now, design your own pop-up cards. You've got columns and you've got platforms, and these dies here you can see. We'll show you those each individually and how you can use those.
And there are 7 of them, right?
Right.
We'll show you how to use them, but just give you a brief look at 2 of the Laurel Burch collections, and we've got them kind of sliding here. So you can see Laurel Burch is really known for her cats, her horses, and her women. So we're going to start with cats. You can see the cutting dies are going to coordinate perfectly with the cling rubber stamps.
Right.
And we also have a set of women. Well, one woman, I guess. And flowers and things to go with her. So we'll show you some projects using that, but starting with the pop-up stages.
Starting with those pop-up stages, and let me show you this cover sheet here that shows you each one of those cutting die pieces individually, and each one of these is going to create a different sized column, and then you've got a platform and you've got a tab for little pop-up pieces to show your focals. And I want to show you real briefly the differences between those column dies and the platform dies. So here it is. Here's a card created using the column dies, and
so
that
they're
was
creating a column. Just
they're
like
creating columns,
okay.
And each one of these have a little tab on the right and left. Here is the cutting side. It's actually got those little cutting ridges on there. That's what's going to cut your card, and you're going to place that line right there, so the center of this piece right on your fold. So that's what was done with each one of these. You place it just like that, and you do want to place, you can either place it this way or you can place it this way, but it does sort of make a difference because you've got a line that shows you where that's going to be scored. So once it's cut through, I taped each one of those in place when I did that, ran it through my machine, and then you can just pop them forward like this, and they're already scored, so they're ready to go. It's going to go like that, and I would use like a secondary card or paper to cover this piece, and then when you pop it up, then you've got a stand here that you can place a focal.
And the idea of placing your own is you can create something like this.
Those are the columns, and I can show you the platforms too in just a moment.
So here's the first card. Whoops. Yeah, okay. Well, we're doing the women first. Okay, so we've got the flowers on the front, and then as I open this, you can see that we have multiple stages there, multiple columns.
So you do have multiple columns in this card, and so each one of those you've got these beautiful stamped images, and Susan chose to stamp those images on pattern paper, and she did it in a succession. So let me show you.
So and this happens to be in Songbirds, I believe.
Right. So it is from the Songbirds paper pack. She went ahead and stamped them, and then she used the cutting dies that come with it to cut it out. So really easy. You don't have to fussy cut that. You just stamp, then you cut it out. And she did it on several different colored pieces of paper, those pattern papers. She did it in pink, and because she was going to use this blue area, she did the bottom part. You can still use the cutting dies and this part here too. And let me show you, once you're ready to start stacking, you can just cut those areas apart and then glue them in place. So this is really easy. You've got just this shoulder wrap going over one shoulder, and you're going to glue that right there. And then she even cut out the hair separately. I've got it almost cut out, so just finishing it here and gluing the hair. And she actually stamped that on a piece of pattern paper that has a little bit of scroll work on there. And she did the same thing with the flower, with parts of the flower. I'm just throwing everything. So you've got that pink flower that will be stacked on top of there. You can do it in green for the leaves. And then the next thing she did was got out her chalks and added like a nice little pink
blush
hue, to her cheeks. And really simple, do that on the cheeks. You can add a little blue to the eyes, a little brown to the hair. really fun little process. She did the
bring
same
that
thing
in.
with the flowers as well.
Right, so you can see these are the papers that were cut and just placed there. The chalking, you can see, so it really doesn't take much to finish off the face, and using, of course, the pattern papers is a favorite way of ours.
Right.
If you wanted to color them in, you certainly could do that. The same thing was done on the flowers, as you can see. So the stamp is going to give you multiple areas that you can stamp on multiple papers, put them together just exactly like Gail showed.
But this is great because you've got those columns. You don't have
Yeah.
to measure, you know, and try to figure out just where I want to put them. You can just put those little die cuts on there, cut that. And I would put the paper over the card before you place those columns, those columnar die cuts in place. And that way you've got it, you've got a nice stable base where you've got that paper on there. And then Susan chose to cover the front of the card with more paper, and that covers up those little holes that the die cut creates. Because when you cut them, and I've got this like so, when you cut those columns and you've got the die cuts that do that for you, then you're going to sort of pop them out like this, and I'm making sure that each one of them pops out. There's a scored line there that I'm looking at. It's probably hard for you to see, but that's where it was scored. Then you pop them forward like this. And when you do that, now you've got each of your columns, and you fold your card forward, and then you've got those openings in the back. And that's what that paper in front is covering.
Mm-hmm. Right, and in the back, it has that, although you could, as you said earlier, you could wrap that around.
Right.
And you'll notice that there are different depths, so you can play with that if you want to. Some are closer, some are further away, depending on how you turned that column.
Right, and I want to point out that on the back of the package for this, it shows you what they look like. So here's a little image that shows you, okay, you want these columns, and it shows you I used a 5 and a 4 and a 3, and this is what you get, including that little pop-up piece, which is something you can attach, and she did that up at the top. She used that little pop-up cutout.
So there's another piece out of the 7 pieces that allows you to do that, so you can have these little dangles, and just beautiful. But you get that richness of the depth and variety of colors and projects.
And it's fun because you can design it any way you want. You can make it a small card, a big card, whatever you like. Put those pop-ups wherever you like.
We do have equal time for the cat, and this is really a typical Laurel Burch with the bright colors, very well known. And you can see one of the kitties on the front, all beautifully done. And we'll back up a little bit so I can open it, and you can see this pop-up event. Okay.
Isn't that beautiful?
In this case, we have
the platform.
the big one. Yeah.
Right, we have the platform. So let me show you real quickly what those platforms do.
Okay.
So here it is already cut. I took a card and I took the platform cutting die, looks like this, and you place it with those ridges down, and remember those little pieces are going to be centered right on along the fold of your card, the fold that's already there. Tape this in place with stencil tape, run it through your die cut machine, and then it creates these platforms. It has the scored lines, and you just follow. I'm going to start by valley folding it up at the base of that platform, and then mountain folding it back, popping up the sides, and I do the same thing with the next platform, valley folding it up, mountain folding the next one back. And when you do, then you get a platform that looks like that. It comes into shape as you fold each of those pieces, and now you've got a platform. When you close your card, I'm going to press that down so it gets a nice edge on there. And also those pop-up pieces were used here.
Just a second. While you've got the platform there, let me just show it to you on this card. So it is that wide piece. It's a couple of inches wide. And you don't have to totally cover it. That's been done obviously here in black, but you see we've got a cat here, one in the middle, and then one just glued to the back of the card.
Right.
So we're just using part of the areas of that platform.
Right, and you can add pop-ups for little messages or those extra little embellishments if you want to add, as well as your focals in the center. There is one other interesting thing that you can do with
so
this.
We've got the butterfly up here, and then we've got another one down here also. So there you go. So you've got all of those. Now go.
So here's that platform, and here's another one. And if you take the large platform, you're going to use that first, and then you take the smallest column, and I think this is kind of fun. After you've cut this, take the smallest column and place it with the center of that fold right on the center, right on the fold of that top platform. Run it through your cutting die machine again, and you have an extra platform. So you pop these up, remember, just like a valley fold.
So the platform gives you
fold.
2 layers, and you've made a third
Right,
one.
a little third tiny one up at the top, which I think would be kind of cute for, you could actually use this just the way it is. Let me get them all in place. You can see the it taking place. You could make a birthday cake out of that right there. That's pretty cute.
Or anniversary, or
so it's a neat idea. I also want to pull back in the stamp set for just a second to show you something that we didn't mention yet. Each one of these stamp sets come with a stencil. So the Laura Burch Cats comes with a stencil that has circles and tiny little squares, kind of in a random fashion, and pyramids or triangles down here. And if you look at the card that Debbie created, you can see that she used that, and she used Versamark, went through onto the black cardstock for those little circles on the front, and then she used gold embossing powder on top of that, and then she used some of the other patterns on the inside of the card.
created kind of a playful background there.
Right.
You can see it.
It's really fun.
Oh, very nice.
So you've got the little, and it matches the little kitties, and so it's just really cute.
Beautiful.
There's also a stencil that comes with the lady stamp
Right.
set that we looked at.
Looks like this.
It looks like that. And what I like about that, and you can pop all of these pieces out individually, is that if you want to do some coloring on that lady and you don't want any of the background to be affected, you can place that over, like masking out the rest of it, or you can place that down, get a nice, go ahead and stencil through that area, a nice like a flesh tone or whatever color you like, and then stamp over it, and that will be a nice look too.
It works perfectly. Now the coloring that was done on this was done with the Derwent.
Derwent, yeah.
This set. Now, we do have a limited supply of these, so just wanted to point that out. You can also use any of the other watercolor mediums.
Right, watercolor pencils, you can use paints. Here are the Aqua Blend pencils, and these are similar to the Derwents, and if you were to choose this set, which is the primaries, you're going to get much the same colors as Debbie used on this card. And I do want to show you something in particular. So this is really kind of fun that she blended colors that like, she didn't blend blues into blues, she blended purple into blue and blue into red, and I just think it's really fun. And she went through first and colored certain areas, and just using your pencil, you go ahead and color those areas, and you can add more color on top of there to get a more intense look. You don't really have to worry about scribble marks, because all of that is going to get taken care of when you use your water brush.
Or just a paintbrush dipped in water,
Yes.
either way.
Yeah, either way, and just blend that together in nice bright colors. They blend really well. It
It's
won't
getting
leave
close
strokes.
to see just how you did that.
So that was nice. Just very easy to add just a little water, and it blends nicely. And I'm going to move this over so you can see that I took some of the pencils and I just scribbled them, and then I just went down and blended them just like so. And that's what I'm going to do right here. So I've got the coloring. I went ahead and colored. I've got to color around all those little green triangles. And then just with a little water on your brush, or using a water brush, you just start blending together. And I'm going to wipe it off if it gets too dark, so I can blend it into the blues. But it's just really simple to do that. I do have to go around the little triangles. That's the only part of this, but that's kind of fun. I consider that relaxing. But they blend perfectly, 2 colors into each other, just like that. It's a really simple thing to do.
I think it's always nice to see those pencil marks kind of disappear.
Right.
It just makes it kind of more magic. So we've got things all over the table, but the beginning part is this very fun pop-up stages die set. So that's going to give you just a lot of variety and a lot of creativity.
Right.
And then
we've got the Laurel Burch cutting dies and stamp sets. Okay, for everyone who's been asking, yes, no fussy cutting. You can just cut these right out, and they make beautiful images.
And it's really nice to introduce Laurel Burch, a very famous artist. It's fun to see her things in stamps that we can use.
Right, and you can get her all popped up in a card.
And yes, we will have more.